In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up a speaking activity with your students. I'm going to show you how to prepare it, how to set the activity up for the students to do, and how to give feedback. I'm going to use one of the best audio tools and the most stable audio tool that I've come across. And this is free. Now, the other thing is this will work in any language. Really hope you like the video, and as always, if you do, please like it, please share it, please comment on it, and of course join me on my YouTube channel. Let's get started. I worked as an educational technologist and language teacher at Westminster University and Warwick University for 15 years, and we did a lot of work around speaking. The one key thing that I would insist is that if you're going to do a speaking activity with your students, make sure you give them time to prepare. Give them time to think about the vocabulary they're going to need. Give them time to listen to model examples of the sorts of things that you're expecting them to say. And give them the chance to rehearse and practice before they do their recordings. Now, the other thing is when it comes to getting your students to record, often it works better at home. In the classroom, there's too much noise. It's very difficult for students to actually record themselves. I'm going to show you a technology that will facilitate the recordings at home and make it really easy. And the other thing, you've got to think about feedback. Your students do their recordings. How are you going to give them feedback? Is that going to be general feedback to the whole class? Are you going to give specific feedback to students? Again, I'm going to show you some ways that you can do this. So let's get started with the first idea. Now, in my opinion, the most stable, the most reliable, and the easiest system to use to get your students to record themselves speaking is Padlet. And incredibly, you can use Padlet for free. Padlet has masses of advantages because it's not only possible to get students to record themselves, and you can see that I've done that here, but then students can leave comments on each other's recordings. Of course, you can also leave feedback. So what we're going to do first of all is show you how to set up a super simple speaking activity with Padlet, and then I'll add some layers. I actually have a paid account in Padlet, but you can sign up and use Padlet and generate up to 3 Padlets for free. And what you would have to do then is once you've used your free, if you wanted to use more, you would have to obviously delete a Padlet, and that would then give you more space to add more Padlets. Now, to create a Padlet, all I want you to do is to click on Make. Remember, we're focusing on speaking, and I would just use a blank Padlet. And I'm going to show you straight away a really important thing to do. So choose Wall, don't worry about any of the other settings, and click on Done. And what I want you to do, and this is really important, is to come over to Settings. And the first thing we're going to do is come down to something called Field Posts or Post Fields. Click on that. And what I want you to do is, first of all, to turn off all of the attachments so that students will not be able to add anything to the Padlet. So click on None, except audio recorder. That will be the only thing that they'll be able to do. This limits the students to only being able to actually add a recording. Then click on Save. And there is one other thing I would suggest, or two other little things, simple things. Click on this one, Subject, and in the subject, just change that for Name so that the students write their name. And I would require that because it's useful to know who's actually done the recordings. And the final little trick is go to the body and actually turn it off. And that means that the students won't even be able to write. They'll simply be able to add their name and record. Now, if you do those 3 little things, the difference is incredible. Let me show you now. If my students, I shared the link with this to this Padlet for my students, they would click here now. And all they can do is write their name, which is required, okay, and then click on audio and record themselves. There's nothing else that they can add. There's no option to write or add up pictures or share links. It's simply getting our students to do a recording. Now we're going to set up an activity, but we're going to try to make it a little bit more interesting. I want to keep this activity super simple, the first one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this button here, and I'm going to call this Introduce Yourself to the Class. Introduce yourself. Okay, so let's imagine that this is going to be an introduction at the beginning of the course. All the students record a simple introduction about who they are and what they are, etc. Now, you do need to write in a nice, clear description here. So I'm just going to quickly add that in. So I've added in my question here. Can you share some things about you? How long have you been learning English? Why are you learning English? What do you like doing in your free time? What are you hoping to get out of this course? So some just general questions at the beginning to get the students speaking. Okay, so give really clear instructions. Once we've done that and we click here. Now remember, it's really good to prepare students for this activity. So you might be telling them you're going to be doing this for homework, but you'd do some activities in the classroom that would get them to prepare. Maybe they would work in groups or on their own or in pairs and think about the types of information that they might provide, or think about the vocabulary that they might provide. And another really good idea is for you to model an example of what you want them to do. This kind of sets the standard, and I really like working this way because it really then pushes the students to understand, right, provide plenty of information, make the model a really good example. So I'm going to show you now how to do that. Don't forget, if you like the video, please like it. Let's then look at now how we could model an example to show the students. To do a model answer, why don't you simply click on the plus button, write your name and do a little recording. So I'm going to click on this button here and you'll see exactly now how your students will record themselves speaking. It's very easy. Click on that button. You can see already that it's picking up my voice. If it isn't picking up my voice, then you need to click here and find the correct microphone. I've already got the correct one. And then to start recording, all I need to do is click on this button here. So I'm going to do a quick example. I won't do a full example, but what I would actually do in reality is record quite a lot of detail, make it a good couple of minutes of me talking about myself. So here we go. My name's Russell Stannard. I'm very interested in learning English because I'm thinking of studying in a university in the UK. I've been studying English for nearly 60 years. I speak quite well, blah, 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 blah. Finish. Okay. Now, if I'm not happy, I can discard it and start again. If I'm happy, I can click on playback and save. Now I can listen to it by clicking here. I won't do that now, but I can do if I just want to check it, and then I click on save. Now, just to point out this, very important to students, you can see now that the recording is up on the screen. We've already got my name here at the top, okay? And then we need to click on publish, and voila, we've got our first recording on the screen. Now, how are you going to get your students to add their recordings? So they would be able to listen to this recording. And as well as that, they would also be able to do their own recording. So let's look at how you share this so that your students can add their recordings. Just a super quick break from the video just to say, if you do like the video, then please come over to teachertrainingvideos.com. There are loads more free videos on the site. I specialize in making videos that show language teachers how to use technology. One other thing, if you sign up to the newsletter at the moment, then you will get a free 14-part course where I show you some of the key technologies that we can use in language teaching. There really are no tricks. Nearly everything that I highlight is free. That was all. Let's get back to the video. All we need to do is to come over here to the right-hand side and click on the share button. And we've got various options here. We can obviously copy a link, okay? Copy the link and then share that with the students. The students would simply click on the link and access the Padlet immediately and be able to add up their recordings. But you can also use a QR code. So you can click here and that generates a QR code the students can access via their telephones, for example, and do the recordings that way. The telephone works absolutely fine when it comes to working with Padlet because remember, we've simplified the whole thing so that when students click on plus, all they can do is write their name and add their audio. They don't have any other options. So the phone in this case can work really well. What we're going to do now is just look at some of the ways that we could give feedback once the students have done their recordings. And there are lots of different ways. It could be through us recording feedback, or it could be through us leaving comments, or simply liking or marking with a number. There's lots of ways that we can work. Padlet is a very sophisticated tool. It's got amazing AI in it. And if you want to learn more about Padlet, I'm using it today just to show you how to use the audio, but it can do loads of other things. Then watch the video that's on the screen now where I go through some of the AI features. Don't forget to like the video if you're finding it useful. Let's look then at a few options for giving feedback. Now, the obvious way to give feedback is to listen to the recording. You can click and listen to all the recordings. Imagine all your students have done their recordings. You can click here.
My name's Russell Stannard. I'm very interested in learning English.
Okay, then you would just click back and then you can click on add comment and you could leave your comments here. Okay, make sure that you click on this button to actually leave the comment. That is one possibility. Now, another really interesting way to work is to ask the students to listen to each other's and then leave perhaps one additional question. So I might ask my students to listen to 2 other students and leave each student a minimum of 1 question, which is actually what I did in the opening activity that I showed you. So that's an obvious way. Now, if comments aren't turned on, all you need to do is to click here and just come down and make sure that in the comments section that you've got that turned on. Okay, so allow new comments. Okay, very important that you can allow comments. Now, something else that's interesting, then, if I just click back again to the comments section, is as well as comments, you can allow reactions. And there are various sorts of reactions that you can do. You can leave a score, you can leave a star 1 to 5, you can vote, or you can say none. Now, my suggestion to you is that if you're going to leave comments, then turn off reactions and just have the comments available. That would normally be enough, okay? So students can simply leave comments, but they can't leave reactions. Now, I'm going to show you now another original way of giving feedback that I actually use quite a lot. In this activity, I actually got the students to use video rather than audio. That's also an option in Padlet. But the special thing that I did here was that after the students had all answered the questions, I listened to all the students' comments and then I made a summary video of all the key points that I heard. So I'm not giving individual feedback to the students, rather what I did in this example was do a summary video based on all the key points. Now, I find this really useful because it's useful to the students to listen and hear a summary of all the different points that the people were making. That summary video can be a summary of feedback, a summary of problematic vocabulary, a summary of ideas, brainstorming, etc. So that is another way of working and giving feedback to students that is general feedback to the whole class rather than to an individual. Okay, really hope you liked the video, and if you do, please come over to teachertrainingvideos.com. There's hundreds more videos on the website. There's a really popular section on teaching and using AI. I specialise in making videos to help language teachers use technology. If you want to sign up to the newsletter, then that way you can keep up with all the latest videos, the free webinars that we run, the courses that we run, etc. And at the moment, if you sign up to the newsletter, there is a special 14-part free course that you'll be sent. You'll be sent a video about every 3 or 4 days that really just focuses on the most popular technologies on my YouTube channel that teachers have reacted to, and that really builds up into a really nice course and gives you a strong basis in using technology in language teaching. It's completely free, and literally everything that I show you is a free technology. If you'd like to have live training with me, then think about joining me on Patreon. On Patreon, for $6 a month, you get 3 free videos from me each month without any advertisements in them. But the important thing is those videos are connected to a monthly webinar that we have where we meet live. And we normally work with the technology that we focused on that month, or sometimes it's 2 technologies, and we do activities and really learn to use those technologies well, so that then you can try those out in class or online with your students. The other interesting thing about joining me on Patreon is that actually you get access to all of the backdated material. So there's over a year of videos and live training. This training is very practical with lots and lots of ideas about things that you can do in the class or online with your students teaching languages. So it's much more practical than the YouTube videos, and you get that as part of the $6 a month. Okay, I'm going to leave some more videos on the screen that I think you might find useful.